Fight Island is here. Round number 5, your fifth and final round. We know where it is. It's in Abu Dhabi now. We've got 3 title fights and 1 top contender match up there. In order, descending from main event, it is Kamaru Usman taking on Durinho Gilbert Burns, as we aforementioned in earlier rounds in the show. Be sure to go check out round number 2 for that. A little bit of a discussion on that whole situation of that division. Obviously, fight number 2, you got Volkanovski versus Holloway number 2. That is going to be a great fight. Can't wait for that one. I'm super excited for this bantamweight vacant title bout between Piotr Jan versus Jose Aldo there. And obviously, Rose Namajunas having a rematch against Jessica Andrade, who she was dominating, but then got dropped on her head with a slam KO. Let's start with the main event here, though. We talked about it earlier in round number 2 with the welterweight division, but Usman is taking on Gilbert Burns, and Gilbert Burns is fighting for the 3rd time in 4 or 5 months now. Rather fascinating development there, actually. I'm happy personally. I don't know. I think I'm in a huge minority here. I think Gilbert Burns, in a way, deserved it just because of the sheer fact that he was active, he wasn't complaining, and he got in there and got busy and got to work. So with that being said, what's your thoughts on this main event coming down here in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, our way too early preview of this fight. Man, if you look at how convincingly both of these guys beat up Tyron Woodley, it makes you think, okay, well, is Tyron Woodley done, or are these guys that good? And Usman kind of proved he was that good because he won a very closely contested, but in the end, finishing Colby Covington. And El Durinho put the freaking work on Tyron Woodley, and we didn't give him nearly enough credit. Like, we had to, when we were watching that fight, we were both just kind of biting our tongues like, damn, we didn't give this dude the respect that he deserved. Because, man, if you're that good, we know how good he is at jiu-jitsu. But on the feet, the pressure that he put, he just was relentless. I think this will be – I actually can't wait for this fight because I want to see who puts the pace on and who has the striking advantage. And I don't think I hope that Usman has, been working on his striking because it looked like Burns' striking was ridiculous. And I don't think, given Burns' jiu-jitsu, that Usman's going to be attempting any takedowns.
I think the only place that Kamaru Usman is going to be able to win this fight is bullying him up against the cage and working that clinch work. Like the same way he beat up on and leaned on and was heavy on Tyron against the cage and was punching him in the stomach. Or how about we saw like 20 strikes to the ribs in a row, pinning up against the cage. It's got to be dirty, like Randy Couture, dirty boxing, just up against the cage, Greco-Roman. Like, this is not a time to be dropping a man to his back like Gilbert Burns. He's going to be able to roll. He's dangerous off of his back. He's submission off of his back.
He's got ridiculous power.
He can sweep you.
Woodley, dude.
He can sweep you, and a wrestler on their back is never a situation they want to be in. Like, and with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy on top of a guy like that, it's just not a good look. And striking, Gilbert Burns is just going to outclass Kamaru Usman. That's my opinion. I'm going way the other direction here because, we didn't put any respect on Gilbert Burns, and I've seen enough. I don't need to see it again for me to question what's going on. He's got the speed. He's got the power. He's got the precision. He's got the feints. He's got the attitude, hands down by his side between rounds and staring down Tyron. This is a guy who's on an absolute tear, and I don't know how Kamaru's going to win this other than making it a dirty dog fight up against the cage and leaning.
The thing is, what we have to remember is, and there's 2 schools of thought here. The first is, could it be that this camp just has Woodley's number? Because you have to remember, Burns and Usman are training partners, and
yes,
it's very rare that they'll go fight. But could it just be that, listen, we have the key to beating Woodley here, and maybe that's what it is. Now, I don't want to disrespect Gilbert Burns ever again. However, I remember after seeing Usman beat the brakes off Tyron Woodley, thinking, and just watching, like, seeing Woodley on the ground and Usman picking his chest back up and walking back across the cage, like, dude, I'm gonna do this literally all night. In that moment, and then in his post-fight interview, he said, listen, no one is better at getting in here and mixing things up and scrapping than I am. And I wonder if the champ is just gonna pull some champ shit and say, listen, man, this dude's really good, man, but this dude's my training partner. I know all his weaknesses, and push comes to shove, I got the gas tank. I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to bury my head in his chest. I'm going to do exactly what you said, the clinch work, the body work. I've been working a lot on my head movement. I'm going to crack him, and I'm just going to stay on him relentless for 5 rounds and beat the brakes off him. And I don't know. We'll do, a better preview of this closer to the date. But in the meantime, I might go, I'm tempted to go that way. I'm tempted to
Well,
stick with the champion.
it seems like you've got Burns and I've got Usman. We're not locking it in quite yet, but we are definitely going to be very, very excited to see how that fight pans out. We'll move on to the next one, though, for the sake of time here. In the featherweight division, Max Holloway, the blessed man, is coming back to try to get his rematch against Alexander Volkanovski, who implemented a very sound strategy in order to gather the strap in the first place. Max Holloway is a huge footwork guy. He loves to move around. He loves to feint. He loves to just be elusive. And he's there, and then he's not. And then he's there, and then he's not. Volkanovski went into there with an axe, and he was chopping trees down that time. It kept going calf kick, calf kick, calf kick, calf kick, and eventually Holloway just wasn't moving around with the same kind of spryness that we usually see. And when he becomes more stationary, that's when Volkanovski can unload with some more of the power that we're seeing, especially given that Holloway usually drowns people with cardio. Volkanovski can go all day. Volkanovski is more powerful. Volkanovski can actually end the fight in devastating fashion, at least in a more consistent basis, I guess you could say. Anyone can knock anyone out, though. But yeah, for that division, for that featherweight division, I don't know. It's going to be tough for me going into this fight and seeing Holloway come in there, and unless he changes his strategy altogether, come out on top, because Volkanovski just seemed like the way he scrapped, he had his number, in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, there's one question that has to be asked. If Canada is Holloway's, what island is it? 10th island, right? So now is Fight Island his 11th island? I want to know, because if so, maybe he's going to take over and say, listen, I draw the line in the sand here. This is 11th island. This is Holloway territory. I'm coming to win. And maybe he might, right? I agree with you. I think, given what we saw in the first fight, I think in the moment we thought that it was more convincing of a win than the post-fight statistics indicated. But I think you're probably right. Volkanovski it might just have his number, right? Just stylistically, it's a really bad matchup for Max. But I want to see if Max is able to, maybe make the difference. And let's say, maybe he can close the distance a little bit more and work on just boxing him up, more so from within. That way he's not so subject to leg kicks, because I know like Max fights long, but that was kind of his kryptonite. So I think he's got to change his style here. And
Yes.
it sucks, man, because, Max was on like a 12-fight win streak, and then, just so happened, and now he could be on a 3-fight losing streak. Like, it's crazy how that happens, right? You just fight a couple of really, really good guys, and you're so much better than them for so long, and then somebody has your number. And it seems that his number is volume, powerful cardio machines, right?
And that's tough to find. It's tough to come by. But Volkanovski definitely fits that bill.
Quite frankly, it could be another really long night for Holloway.
100%. And it's just one of those situations where it's just, I see Max and his style, and he needs to switch it up. Is he capable? Sure. But is it going to work? That's a different question altogether. I'm interested to see how that pans out come fight night. The next fight that we have here is the vacant strap for Piotr Jan versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo lost, quote unquote, to Marlon Moraes, someone who we didn't even mention about in round one when we were talking about the division being stacked too. He easily somehow him and Marlon Chito Vera. I don't know if it's the name Marlon that people can't see, but they somehow go under the radar there. But yes, Piotr Jan is taking on Jose Aldo here. I I can see how this fight will probably pan out. I know what Aldo's path to victory is going to have to be, but we haven't seen him do it in a few years, and I'm pretty sure that you can guess what that is, and that's leg kicks. He's got to implement these leg kicks because Piotr Jan doesn't really check them very often. Piotr Jan is very much more of a boxer, and Jose's got
damn good one at that.
And Jose's got respectable boxing, but don't box with this guy nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a left overhand. He got a right overhand. He's got a left dig hook to the body. He's got straights. He's got crosses. He mixes it up, the sweet science, beautifully in the octagon, and he stays standing for the most part. Jose Aldo's got to come out here 2013 style and start blasting some leg kicks, because that's the way you're going to have to ruin the boxing and the power generated from your legs by destroying the legs and chopping them down early and often.
Yeah, I think Aldo probably has the speed advantage too. Um, but yeah, like Peter Yan, man, he's on the rise. Like, there's a reason that they said, okay, listen, these are the two guys who are going to fight for the vacant strap over someone like Aljo. And man, like it's going to be interesting. I know that Aldo technically lost to Moraes, but watching that fight, I didn't think he lost at all. I thought it was
Me neither.
pretty clearly that he won. But you know, anyway, but we're past that, and I'm glad the UFC is as well. They're like, no, that's ridiculous. Like, he obviously won, and that's why he's fighting for the championship off of a loss, mind you. But I think, this might be Piotr Jan's time, especially because, as we mentioned, Aldo hasn't been the same Aldo that he was of old. He looked great at 135, and he's shredded, and he's so fast. But I don't know, man. Like, I want to see how many rounds Jan can keep with his style if he's just fighting a boxer in Jose Aldo, with how quick he is, with his body shots. Remember when he knocked out Jeremy Stevens with the body shot?
Oh my
Oh,
God. And Jeremy
oh,
Stevens is one of those tough as they come.
yeah. So I mean, maybe he lands something like that, right? Like just a left uppercut to the body and just good night. So we'll have to see. Right now, I'd probably give the edge to Jan, but we'll do a full breakdown way closer to the fight island.
Yeah, I probably got Jan in this one too, but I'm excited to see how obviously the weeks pan out. We got to make sure that these guys are healthy and showing up to Fight Island too, right? So with that being said, speaking of healthy, mentally, Rose Namajunas is stepping back into the ring and trying to exercise the demon that was losing to Jessica Andrade here. It's probably a number one contenders fight for the 115 strap against Weili Zhang. Weili said that she wants to fight Rose Namajunas. That will be part of her legacy. It'll be an important fight. Thinks it would be a great matchup to watch. I agree. I'd love to see that. Jessica Andrade versus Weili Zhang. Did we not see that already, or am I completely mistaken here?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I actually don't remember. I feel didn't we? Wasn't that one of her contender fights to
Because
get to?
I remember Jessica slammed Rose, beat Rose, and then Jessica lost to Weili.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that's what happened here.
Yes, that is exactly what happened.
I don't think we need to see a Jessica Andrade versus Weili Zhang again. That was just like that was a tire fire. That was because like the
Yeah.
style, Jessica Andrade's style is never changing. It's always the same. It's the same game plan that you have to go and game plan for. She's gonna bowl forward. She's gonna try to hit you with some power shots, and if she gets a hold of you, you're going for a ride. That's pretty
Yep.
much what's going on there with her. And someone like Rose Namajunas got caught. She was dominating that fight the first time they fought. Just winning rather easily. She tried to slam her once, use the Kimura as a sign of a defense, and then the second time she tried to go for the same exact Kimura defense and just went for a ride and landed on her head. It looked gruesome, but thankfully she was fine.
Yeah, but the
Do
thing
you see
is,
it different this time, or?
that's the thing. As easily as I think, Zhang Weili beats Andrade again, and it's way more competitive for her to fight Rose. I don't think Rose gets past it again because I think Rose lost her hunger and her fire after that fight. Remember, she went on such a long hiatus, and
Mm-hmm.
she's like, "Listen, I don't want to fight anymore." She doesn't even have even as a champion. She said, "Thank God when I lost because I didn't want
Yep.
to be, you know, I didn't want to, there was too much pressure. I didn't enjoy it." I don't think she has the same hunger and fire and desire. Whereas Andrade, I think, even if she's bringing the same style every time, she at least wants to be there and wants to kill you and wants to win. But I think Rose is just so, lackadaisical and wants to just be in there and be, free-minded, free spirit, and just win the competition. I think she's going to come in there a little bit afraid of history repeating itself and getting dropped on her head again. Not to mention, if she wins, she's fighting for the belt again. And I don't even know if she really wants that. So I understand she's next in line, but I don't think that she's going to win this fight. As much as I want to see her against Zhang Weili, I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I don't know what's in her heart and mind. I believe that if Rose Namajunas is in it mentally, that she's just gonna win. Like that she's just
Yeah.
better. It
Yep.
just comes down to mental acuity at that point. And I think we're gonna see Rose coming in there, and she's gonna win this fight. I don't know if she's going to want the title or go and do what she's going to do afterwards. I need to hear some of the things that she's saying in the lead up in the media and get a gauge on her hunger level. But I've got to assume that after that long of a layoff, for her to come back and want to fight at all, she's refound that thing that she lost. And I can only assume and hope that that's the reason that she's coming back and fighting. Otherwise, I would just advise her not to even bother coming back. That's dangerous to get into a UFC cage if you don't want to be there. A lot of people have, nerves or their anxiety, and it's tough to make that walk, and you might don't everything in your body doesn't want to go, but you end up going out there. If she knows that she doesn't want to go out there and she goes anyway, that's just not good for her long-term health outlook. This is a dangerous sport. It's combat sports. That being said, I'm going in this saying Rose is going to win because I think her mind is going to be in it because she's even bothering to go and fight. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, that concludes round number 5, and that is the end of the 5 good rounds. Thank you for tuning in here. This is Michael Mayers, and on behalf of Nathan Santos, we bid you adieu.
Take care, everyone. Hopefully we'll see you next week.